What is up? Happy Sunday. Welcome to the Daily Fantasy Sweat podcast presented by What the Lou Media. I am your host, Kris King. Feeling a little under the weather today. It's not COVID. Don't worry. Coming to you anyway on a Sunday morning. I did not get out a Saturday show. Some reasons being a little bit not feeling so well. B, the weather. We really weren't going to have a final thought, until we knew a little bit more about the weather. And that's really what we're going to look for today so we can make some final decisions. And then we're just going to talk some strategy, maybe touch kind of game by game, but we're not really going to do that in that sort of format today. So anything else we need to get to? I don't know. You got the hood up, this is what you wear when you don't feel good, you kind of burrow in. So this show will be fairly short and not as detailed as a normal Saturday/Sunday show would, but it is more up to the date information, which is always good. Nothing has come out as far as injuries, who's playing, who's not. We can kind of touch on that as we move through. But let's look at some weather and see what the latest updates on these are. I'm going to feel really strange doing this because I'm going to feel kind of like a meteorologist, and I don't want to get too hosty on you and early morning weather guy trying to be funny, making dad jokes and shit. So let's start in Chicago. We're going to go with the most extreme weather in our opinions, my opinion. And we'll go from there. We'll see. This is what I think is going to have the biggest effect. So we'll start with this game. And not really the game a lot of people were pointing out. It's between these first two. In Chicago, hosting the Saints. And then here, this is Green Bay weather. Oh, and you can't see any of it. So let me make sure I fix that. Yes, let's see. Let's pull this down here. There we go. That's Green Bay. There's Chicago. Now you can see if you're watching on YouTube. So if you're looking here, let's start in Chicago. Winds 24 miles per hour and gusts at 41. Like, this is the type of weather stuff that we want to pay attention to and may have some serious impacts as far as weather or the temperature around 1 p.m. 38 degrees. So it's gonna be sunny. No rain. Blind melon there for any of you that are over, 35. All right, 37 degrees. So it's just going to be cold and windy, no rain. But this is the type of weather situation that we want to pay attention to. When these winds are constantly at 24 miles per hour. Now, we still need to check in. Make sure check in closer to Game Time on Twitter. Watch everyone will be covering the weather. Just make sure you know what's going on closer to Game Time. Case situations, change. Green Bay, you have a pretty similar situation with constant winds in the 20s, 39 mile per hour gusts. It's the same thing, cold and slight chance of rain there in Green Bay. Cleveland, it gets a little better, but not much. 23 miles per hour, 29 gusts. There is a chance of rain off and on through here. Look, it even shows like flurries in the mix, but it's not anywhere near freezing. So I don't know how that could happen, but that's what we're looking at with that game. I don't want to bore you too much with this, but this is important information. I definitely feel like the show is lagging because we're talking about weather. Now, here's where it starts to get a little more interesting. In the Buffalo game, the gusts are only 24. Now, that's not bad. And constant 18, that's kind of on the border of like being problematic, but I don't know. You have two big arms here in this game with Josh Allen and Cam Newton. So if anyone can kind of cut through the wind a little bit, maybe it might be them two guys who both use their legs. I can see we're finally talking some tournament strategy. I can see using some Cam Newton and some Josh Allen with guys who rush like that, who have the rushing potential in a situation where, there's going to be some wins. There's going to be, the conditions are not going to be great. I can see these guys, guys racking up I'm gonna all right, bold prediction here. I don't normally do this bold prediction. Like, how am I gonna predict what is gonna happen? But it wouldn't surprise me if these guys like rushed for combined rushing yards on with both quarterbacks of 100 yards or more. I could totally see that being in the range of outcomes. But yeah, the wins they're starting to tick down here in Cincinnati. These don't scare me at all. So this game, it was the chalk early on for a reason. Great game environment, great total. You could definitely see this kind of topping totals when the day is over. And yeah, it's hardly anything. It's gusts of 18 miles per hour. I'm not worried about that at all. The temperatures are actually not bad. We're not going to see any rain. And I think people are going to be scared off this game. They're going to lump this game into all the other games. And it may go a little under-owned there. And then in Baltimore, it's hardly anything. That's started to creep up as far as could be bad. I mean, there's rain you can see here, so that's around 1 o'clock, 63% chance. So the running backs in this might be interesting. James Conner, coming off of a bye. God, we're just doing. I just noticed we're doing like free promotion for Dr. Sasquatch soap here, which just happens to be in the the mix on. I guess I got to move that over potentially. I don't care. Who cares? If you're watching on YouTube, there on this AccuWeather website, there is an advertisement for man soap. So soap for winners, it says. So click there if you'd like some man soap. And man soap, hit us up if you would like if you would like to get in on a little deal of our, let's do some business. Anyway, let's move on. That's all the weather, man. This has been a rough show so far. I'm just gonna put that out there. I have no problem admitting it either. I've already pre-warned that I'm a little under the weather, and again, not COVID. I just don't feel good. Yeah, that's all you need to know. It doesn't matter. It's not your business. All right, let's look at DraftKings, and let's just talk about the slate overall. Like I said, there's going to be. I know what's going to happen. I mean, ownership could condense a number of different ways today, but most likely you're going to see a lot go here late. I mean, the late stuff, because it's a lot of this is more out west or in places where the weather's not having an impact. So Garoppolo, Russ, I think as far as quarterbacks, ownership's going to go there. Ownership is going to probably lean towards Pat Mahomes a little bit. Justin Herbert, probably going to catch some ownership. So interesting places to go is back over here to the 1 o'clock games, I think. I mean, going Cam or Josh Allen. I know it's the game environment with the way both these teams have been playing. It does seem ugly. Don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't do too much stacking. I would definitely skinny stack, if not just run those guys naked. Definitely. I mean, Cam's got some cheap receivers. He's got Bird and as well as Jacoby Myers. They're both going to be in the mix, and they're both super cheap. And Buffalo's been giving up numbers in the passing game, so it's not out of the question. We're definitely talking GPPs here. We'll signify if we're talking cash games, but yeah, very interesting. If people get off of these win games, I definitely don't. I just don't want any part of. I hope people are rostering Devontae Adams today because I just don't know if I would in that super gusty situation. One of the worst games on the slate, and as you can see over here on DraftKings, it's got the little wind emoji or whatever you want to call that. Where else can we get contrarian? I mean, I was thinking about maybe Pittsburgh, Baltimore. Looked at their outcomes last year. Neither one of them were like a true schlag, an old-fashioned slobber knocker, if you will. To quote Jim Ross from the WWF/WWE days, but they've put up some points. Nothing overwhelming, nothing in the super high total range, but They've definitely been competitive, but the game environment as well as the weather, I'm just not feeling it. So Tennessee Cincinnati, I think, is going to be really interesting. I think Tennessee's going to put up a lot of points here, and people are going to be off of it because it's kind of being mentioned with the win game. So I think maybe I want to go there. And then I want to avoid the wind and the weather too, and I'd love to load up on this Indy-Detroit game. People are going to be off of it. Detroit has gotten so many chances, going up against Jacksonville, going up against Atlanta, and they haven't come through, and people are just getting tired of playing them. And I think this is a perfect situation, being the only dome game on the slate where you can take advantage. And nobody wants to play guys from this game. Nobody wants to. That's not true. Jonathan Taylor's going to be a decently owned GPP play today, I think. But yeah, I mean, people don't want to stack Phillip Rivers. Are you kidding me? T.Y. Hilton stacks, but it's a good way to go. Zach Pascal, Michael Pittman is back, so keep that information out there. Minnesota Green Bay, I like a lot. I'm going to be heavy on Dalvin Cook. I mean, this Green Bay rush defense is really bad. Minnesota is already one of the highest rushing teams in the league. I know they have to be. I'm not really quoting this from somewhere, but I'm just saying, like, they're one of the run heaviest teams. They're going against a terrible run defense. It's going to be windy. Both teams are going to utilize the problem is I want to play Jamal Williams as well, and playing two running backs going up against each other is not always the best case scenario. What I could do is split my lineups in half. I'm running 150, and if I really wanted to go in on that narrative of, well, it's going to be windy, so these teams are going to run the ball. One of them is missing their lead back, and Jamal Williams is going to get all the carries. I don't know. Maybe A.J. Dillon comes in the mix. I played him in season long last week. Jeez. I thought he was going to I thought he had touchdown potential. I thought he had goal line usage and just wasn't there. So Jamal Williams, I think he got around 89% of the carries last week, and he's just in a great spot. But I love Dalvin too, so maybe I just literally just split them, make sure I have one in every lineup. That's definitely limiting my player pool down, but it's a way to go. Pittsburgh, Baltimore, we talked about them. Tennessee, Cincinnati. It's just go back to earlier in the week. Yeah, I mean, like Ryan Tannehill's a play, A.J. Brown's a play, Corey Davis could potentially be a play along with Jonnu. I mean, they're going to be spreading that around a little bit. I prefer Derrick Henry. And I'm going to get different in certain places on here, playing some chalk Derrick Henry. I don't love it in GPPs. I'm definitely loading up in my cash games. Definitely, one of the top 4 running backs when it comes to Henry, Jamal Williams, Kamara, and Kareem Hunt, who are the 4 cash guys that you have to basically choose 3 from. So that's the way I would go there. What am I talking about here? Was I talking about? Oh, yeah, Tennessee, Cincinnati. And then I love the Cincinnati pieces. Go back to Burrow. He was super chalk early in the week. If he is, I don't know, are people going to not roster him because of the wind stuff? I don't know. If his numbers start to creep down based on ownership percentages and the way people are talking on Sunday morning, you just kind of got to judge it from there. But I think they're good plays regardless. Forget ownership. I mean, that's going to obviously make a big factor on how you construct the lineup. But whether it's a good play or not is really what we've been debating. We know it's a good play if there's no wind, but it all has to do with – I just think they go back to being more in play because of this weather situation. It's not that bad. 18 miles per hour – as a gust and 14 no, that's hardly anything. I hope people overreact to that game specifically because I would like to get on to that game. Kansas City, New York, we know what that is. We know who the plays are in Kansas City. The run backs and the Jets are, Crowder's out, so it's Braxton Berrios out of the slots. Denzel Mims, he's a real man, and yeah, that maybe play Michael P. Ryan, but I don't know. I just not where I'm going. I mentioned earlier in the week on the Stack Show, which that Stack Show has pretty much been blown to pieces, literally blown to pieces because of the weather. But I said I loved Henderson going up against Miami. It's a great matchup. I don't really love Henderson, the player. I don't think he's actually that good. I am team free Cam Akers, but Henderson's getting the majority of the workload on one of the teams who runs the ball most in the NFL, and against one of the worst. I know I'm playing DVA here, but it's no one's playing him. And it seems to line up pretty well. So I like that. I think going the receivers could be, that's going to be super contrarian. And Miami, I don't know how good their defense is. I mean, who knows? Like, I presume they have a bad defense. I'm sure it's mid-range because they definitely have a bad run defense. But, yeah, I think playing Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods definitely could get you some leverage. Nobody's playing them. I like Myles Gaskin, so that's a nice little combination I like. The Denver, Chargers game. I said I wasn't going to go game by game, and here I am. That's not what I want to do. So I'm just going to scrap that. I mean, you definitely want some Seattle, San Francisco. It's just, where do you go? I think that's going to wind up being Garoppolo is going to be the number one owned quarterback on the slate. I 100% believe that. And Russ is probably going to be up there as well. I think, Patrick Mahomes' ownership will kind of catch too. That's my prediction, is that they're going to be, and I'm not in the business of making predictions, despite what a lot of people think, touts are not in the business of predicting the future. So, as much as I like those situations and want pieces of them, I think there's definitely places to lean when it comes to, a good pivot. Noah Fant, I think, is in a great spot today. The Chargers are as well. That offense, and, Herbert spread it around a little bit, but Keenan Allen it's weird. It's like all Keenan Allen, and then everybody else gets like one catch. And if you happen to take that in for a touchdown like Jalen Guyton, then you're good as gold. But yeah, I like all the Rams guys. I like the receivers. I like Henderson. So that's kind of, I think I want to, as far as overall construction, and I'm going to wrap this up very soon because I wanted to keep it short today. I just wanted to give like some final thoughts, give some weather updates. It's 7:07 a.m. right now, so that's what you get. Everything else you have to watch NFL Network or ESPN or whatever you do. So I want at least one of kind of those big four for tournaments. This is for large field GPP stuff, single entry. I might want two of those guys and really get different at receiver. But yeah, I want at least 1 to 2 of those big four for the week. And then preferably one in the large field stuff, because I want to run. This is a good week to kind of go a little heavier running back on the flex, but your high upside is running the receiver in the flex spot for like taking down tournaments. So I'm going to have a percentage of my lineups with, a few. I'd probably go at this point just roughly 33 to 40% running back, where normally I'm running like 20% running back at the flex. I would definitely double that this week. I wouldn't have a problem doing that. But I still want like 60% wide receiver, even though receiver doesn't look as good this week. So that's kind of where construction wise, I'm hitting one chalky running back, and then I'm getting myself one of either, Darrell Henderson, Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor's not super. I know I'm not even really doing anything here on DraftKings. We've just sat on this same page forever. I'm just using the bar up here on YouTube of games at the top to remind me about what I want to talk about. I've not even clicked on one player. But again, I'm kind of sick, and you're lucky I'm doing a show. That's all I'm saying. Jonathan Taylor, Dalvin Cook. These guys are going to have ownership. They're probably going to hover around the 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 mark. They're not going to get, Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, type ownership. Let's look at the receivers because we want to talk about them. Yeah, and I'm going to want probably one of, I don't want Adams, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, some of these chalk guys up top. I don't really know where the ownership is going to condense. I think it's with receiver, it's really going to condense up top with a lot of these guys. I think people are going to play Devontae Adams. Metcalf, people are not going to be on lock or Thielen. I like him a lot. He's a low owned guy. And even though that's a win game, I think I mentioned this how this game is going to be bad, so I want to avoid stacking it. But a guy who gets pretty concentrated targets, a guy that they feel like they can trust, guy who's a really good route runner in Thielen. On a win game, I could see him catching all kinds of stuff. Screen passes, slants, just they're going to figure out a way to use him, I believe, when they're not running the ball. Dalvin Cook, again, a guy like, I don't know, I'm kind of rambling here. I've already kind of mentioned, what I like today. It's, again, try to avoid stacking in a big way the win games that matter. Now, this is like I've already said all this stuff, but I'm just recapping, so... Minnesota, Green Bay, I'm going to be out on my stacks there. I'm going to have certain pieces. Going to have a lot of Jamal Williams. Going to have some Thielen at very low ownership. Going to have some Dalvin Cook. Then I think going mid-range at receiver, it's hard to tell what you should do. Seriously, because people are going to be on the top guys. I've already said some of this stuff, obviously, but Adams, Metcalf, Lockett, A.J. Brown, Tyreek Hill, and then they're going to come way down here to Mims and Bourne. But I think going mid-range is not as sexy, but I think it could turn out to be very low-owned when you talk about Keenan Allen's obviously the chalk, throw him in that top range, but Marquise Brown could be a huge play. Ayuk catching some ownership, but I think he should be higher. T. Higgins is a great play. Dude, all of these Pittsburgh receivers I think could be in play. Just got to make sure you spread. I don't like them in stacks together. I just want one of them to be able to potentially go off. Like Schuster to catch a touchdown and get some yards. Deontay Johnson. I think even Claypool could get in the mix today. I think they might try some stuff to get around the Baltimore offense. So, or just to mess with them, not just go downfield at them. Even though they could give up, the big play. Pascal, I think here in the mid range, AJ Green could be the way to go. I don't know. Wide receivers so up in the air. So those are my thoughts today. I don't really have much to go on as far as I just don't have much further to go. That's all I'm saying. I can't do it anymore. I'm not feeling good. I might go throw up again. So. Good luck this week in all your contests. I'm also medicated, so just know that. Good luck in all your contests today, all your GPPs, and as always, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and you know what to do.